It's spoiler time! Indeed it is spoiler time. We have some IKORIA spoilers to get through today. And we're just gonna jump into them. I'm gonna analyze these cards from the perspective of, are they gonna be good on the ladder? And then my friend Mr. Hipster here is gonna analyze these cards from the perspective of, is there any good jank we can build out of these cards? So, first up is Kogla, the Titan Ape. When he enters the battlefield, it fights up to one target creature you don't control. So this seems like a stronger Gargos, in my opinion. Gargos saw no play. If you don't remember Gargos, he was the 8/7 Vigilance, harder spell cost 4 less to cast. Whenever a creature you control becomes the target of a spell, Gargos Vicious Watcher fights up to one target creature you don't control. And of course the problem with Gargos is that you needed Gargos and you needed another spell for him to actually fight something. I mean, you had unlimited fighting potential with him, but you needed to target him. So on top of these 6 mana, you also needed to have a targeting spell, and you needed to target him at the same turn, which he comes into play, which is almost impossible. So Kogla seems much stronger in that regard. He can fight something immediately, but at the same time, 6 manas. 6 manas. Okay, we're gonna read the next ability. When
6 manas
Kogla attacks, destroy up to one target artifact or enchantment defending player controls. You don't need to deal combat damage, which has held back other cards. There was a 4 mana Gruul card, which did pretty much the same thing, but it needed to deal combat damage, and that is very much worse than if you don't need to deal combat damage. If you can just attack in and immediately destroy something, that's gonna be much better. Then it has a kind of an interesting ability here. 1 colorless and 1 green. Return target human creature you control to its owner's hand. Kogla gains indestructible until end of turn. So this... okay, I think I'm gonna leave that analysis to our hipster friend here. So instead what I'm gonna try to think is, this gonna be any good on the ladder? Okay, so first matchup, Mon Red. Is this gonna do anything against Mon Red? No. You're probably dead by the time you can play Kogla, the Titan Ape. But if you're not dead and it actually lands on the board, it's probably not gonna do much. I mean, it's gonna kill maybe one of their 1/1s. They don't care too much about their creatures, honestly. And it doesn't have any other ability, like it doesn't have lifelink, it doesn't have any way of gaining any advantage against them. You can destroy an artifact or enchantment, but then you also need to attack, and it doesn't have vigilance. So now it's gonna be horrible. Probably horrible in that matchup. Next is gonna be blue-white control, or maybe Esper control, or maybe Dance of the Mans. I think these decks are very similar. Things that run Elspeth Conqueror's Death, Birth of My Lettuce, things like that. Against that deck, yeah, I mean, it can destroy an enchantment. It can actually destroy the Elspeth Conqueror's Death, but most importantly, I think the Elspeth Conqueror's Death is very good against Kogla, the Titan Ape. So you're probably not gonna get that much done. And when you play this, since it doesn't have haste, it can just get bounced immediately by a Teferi Time Raveler. It can get killed by Elspeth Conqueror's Death. It's just too many ways of dealing with this. And Indestructible doesn't matter against these decks, because they either bounce or they exile. So having Indestructibility is not good protection against them. Last matchup that maybe should talk about is like Thassa, Agent of Treachery, because there's a lot of like either Reanimator, Agent of Treachery, just play Thassa, Agent of Treachery, Elementals, Agent of Treachery. That's another deck archetype that's very popular on the ladder. And same thing there, doesn't do anything really against that archetype. It can fight one of their dudes which they don't care about because they just want to blink them, and they can just take it over with Agent of Treachery. So ooh, nah, I don't feel like it's gonna be super good in that matchup. But let's hear what our hipster friend has to say about this.
Okay, so first of all, everything that is said is a complete lie. This card is amazing! Okay, so all you need with this card is Fires of Invention. And then you need Agent of Treachery. You're gonna play Fires of Invention. Of course, not gonna be a problem. You're not a scrub. People often ask me, how many Agent of Treacheries before your opponent concedes? And I say, you need at least as many as their lands to be perfectly sure of that. So we're gonna put on Kogla. We're gonna put on Fires. We're gonna put on Agent Treachery. And as it so happens, Agent Treachery is also a human. So we can be returned with Kogla again and again. And Kogla can never die because he's indestructible. free every turn with the Fires of Invention. It's genius. It's the best card in the set. It's the best card. I promise you. I promise you.
Next up is Luca, who lives on the second floor. He comes into play with 5 loyalty, of course. Of course, another planeswalker which should not be able to kill with Questing Beast, as every planeswalker. Okay, +1. Exile the top 3 cards of your library. Creature cards exile this way gain. You may cast this card from exile, as long as you control Luca planeswalker. So if he dies, you can no longer play them, but if you draw another Luca, you can play them later on. It's kind of cool, I guess. And -2, exile target creature you control, then reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card with higher converted mana cost. Put that card onto the battlefield, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So this is a very, very strong ability, but I think I'm gonna leave that analysis to my friend here, because that ability is potentially broken. I don't know if it's gonna be competitive or if it's gonna be jank, but it just seems so strong. So strong. Okay, -7. Each creature you control is damage equal to its power to each opponent. It's a cool ability. I don't think it's gonna be used that often, but you know, when someone gets up, it might be pretty strong. Okay, so let's go through the matchups. Mono-red matchup. Is it gonna be good in mono-red matchup? Nah, probably too slow. 5 manas. You might get the -2 off, and it might kill everything they have, depending on what you search for. I mean, you can search for a Masker Girl, you can search for an Agent Treachery, but I'm not gonna talk too much about that. You can search for anything with a -2. And you can easily align this so that the only creatures that you have in your deck are things which cost the same amount of mana, like only 2 drops or only 3 drops or something like that. And then there's one thing which costs more, whatever you want to search for. Okay. So yeah, mono-red matchup, I don't see this guy being amazing. Blue-white though, I see this as being very, very strong, because he can immediately do something which has an effect. The +1 is not going to be good against blue-white control, because they're probably just going to play Elspeth Conquers Death and take away Luca immediately, and then you can't play whatever creatures you found with the plus ability. But the -2 ability you can immediately get off and can immediately essentially replace Luca with some other creature. So think of Luca as basically essentially a 2-for-1 immediately, because you -2, you get whatever creature you want, and you get to keep Luca. So even if the Elspeth conquers that Luca, you still have that creature. Or if the Elspeth conquers that whatever you search for, you still have Luca. So they need to deal with 2 things if you put down Luca. So that's very, very, very good in that matchup. Other matchups, Agent of Treachery, I think that's gonna be a mirror matchup, so I don't think that's super important to analyze, maybe, but let's just hand over the word.
Thank you, that took a long time. That took a long time to say basically this card. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's not a janky card at all. All you need to do is need a lot of need to get a lot of 2-drops, what I'm trying to say. But I can't say it. These are secret words. You need to get your fumble up, your Paradise Druids, everything that costs 2, cheap things, ramp, stuff like this. Then you put in Agent Treachery. This set might as well be called Good Ways of Getting Agent Treachery Out, because that's basically what it is. So you -2 on your fumble up. You still have your Paradise Druid. You wrap this turn 4. You're getting down Luca. Turn 4, Agent Treachery is steal their land. They only have 3 lands, now they're down to 2. They have nothing. Nothing. They're done for. This is amazing. This will always find Agent of Treachery and some other janky cards that we're gonna play, but still.
Next card is Luminous Broodmoth. This card, I think it's a little bit janky, yes, but I think it could be not super horrible, honestly.
It's amazing.
Even Mr. is gonna agree with that. Okay. Whenever a creature you control without flying dies, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control with a flying counter on it. Okay, there's so many things here to unpack. First of all, it's very similar to Nightmare Shepherd. That's the first thing everyone's gonna think of. Nightmare Shepherd, if you don't remember, whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you may exile it. If you do, return a creature token that's a copy of it, except it's a 1/1 and it's a nightmare. This returns, it's not a 1/1, so you can play this with big creatures if you do want to. It doesn't exile, so you can play this with escape. It doesn't say whenever another creature dies, so it can return itself if it somehow loses flying. And it puts a counter on it, but that counter can be removed, of course, if you have something like the black, blue, whatever his name is, which removes counters from things, so that could be a way. So this has a lot of application. If you think about the matchup though, mono red matchup, Luminous Broodmoth, probably gonna die or you gonna die immediately. It's not gonna be like, oh, amazing against mono red. Unfortunately not. If this would have a lifelink, probably would have been decent, I guess. Blue-white matchup. It's gonna get bounced with the Teferi, or gonna get Elspeth Conqueror's Death, or it's gonna get board. I mean, it dies to all their removal, essentially, so it's not gonna be amazing. You might get some value out of this, though, like if you have some escape creatures, and this somehow survives for one turn, you might get some value out of it, but it's not gonna be amazing in that matchup, I don't think. If you're up against something like an Agent of Treachery deck, then you're probably very scared that your Luminous Broodmoth is gonna be taken over.
If you're a scrub, that is.
Doesn't seem to have a competitive edge in the current metagame, or we don't know how the metagame is gonna shift, so missed.
Yes, finally! Okay, so Luminous Broodmoth, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put on Colossal Hammer, gives +10/+10 and loses flying. I'm kidding. People often ask me, is there something as too janky? And I say, yeah, Colossus Hammer and Luminous Broodmoth, maybe a little bit too janky, but here's what we're gonna do. Turn 3, Mu Yan Ling. Deal with their small pesky creatures. Turn 4, put down Luminous Broodmoth. Mu Yan Ling, our own Luminous Broodmoth. Now it's unkillable until our next turn. Think about it, they can't kill it. Mu Yan Ling +2 until your next turn. Up to 1 target creature gets -2/-0 and loses flying. That is amazing with Luminous Broodmoth. It is amazing. What can they do? It's unkillable. Turn 3, turn 4. They line up perfectly. Go for it.
Ooh, Lutri the Spell Chaser. This is an interesting one, I feel like. So 1 colorless and then 1 blue/red and another blue/red. Companion. This is an interesting mechanic. We also have to point out that it's an elemental otter here. Legendary. Companion is kind of like a mini commander. It puts a restriction on your deck and then you can play it once. Commanders, of course, you can play any number of times and their mana cost increase, but with Companion, you can only play them once, and it has a lot of restrictions on your deck. Each non-land card in your starting deck has a different name. If this card is your chosen companion, you may cast it once from outside the game. So you can only have 1 companion, you can't have multiple companions, but you can have 1, and it's something that you probably have to, build a lot around. Unfortunately, it feels like Lutri the Spell Chaser is a little bit too janky. Okay, whenever he enters the battlefield, if you cast it, copy target instant or sorcery spell you control, you may choose new targets for the copy. There's cute things, of course, can do with this, but the problem is the restriction that it puts on the deck is so restrictive. Each non-land card in your starting deck has a different name. What deck on earth could play this restriction? I guess a Neoform deck is...
Of course, Neoform!
Could play that, and you have a lot of different targets, but you can only have 1 Neoform? Against mono red is gonna be good, no. It's gonna get blue-white control, probably no. This is something you build around. This is some kind of janky jank card. So,
not so janky.
Give this one over to the hipster himself.
Finally! Okay, Lutri Spell Chaser. One of the best cards of the set again! This card is amazing! First of all, yes, we're gonna play this with Neoform, of course! Because when we sacrifice something with Neoform and we then copy it, we don't need to sacrifice 2 targets, but we can search for 2 things! And in a Neoform deck, of course, you want different targets, so it doesn't matter, the restriction doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And then we have all the flicker cards. We have Flicker of Fate. We have Teferi's Time Twist. All these cards, which you can use with Lutri the Spell Chaser. So easy, get more triggers. It's gonna be an amazing deck. Think about it. Think about it.
Next card. Phoenix Perfect Life Form. It's what it's translated on Mythic Spawn. I don't think that's correct, but we're gonna talk about it's a muted card. First muted card. Muted, very interesting ability. Gonna talk about that in just one moment. 2 colorless, 2 red. It's a flying 4/4, and whenever this creature mutates, create a feather token. It has 1 colorless, sacrifice, return target Phoenix card from your graveyard to the battle tap. Of course, it's itself a Phoenix, so it can return itself with this ability mutate. But what is mutate? Well, let's go and check the wiki what it says. So, mutate cost. If you cast a spell for its mutate cost, put it over or under. Over or under, and very important, target non-human creature you own. They mutate into the creature on top, plus all abilities from under it. So, what this means is that you can choose which creature you want to be, either the creature that you already have in play or the creature under it, and you also get the mutate ability on top of that ability. So, in this case, it's not gonna be that weird, because you get that feather thing whenever you mutate it, and it's just a 4/4 flyer. So it's basically just a way of upgrading a creature. It's not super janky, honestly. It's just you upgrade it to a 4/4. Maybe you have a Paradise Druid or something. It has hexproof, so they can't bounce it immediately or kill it immediately, and then you put this down. That could be pretty good. I see this also having an application. Maybe if you have something with lifelink, could be good to give this lifelink, for instance, because it retains all the abilities under it. You could give it double strike. Most things are kind of janky, and most of those creatures are not really that played. But there might be some application there. I think our friend here is going to talk about that. But we're going to talk about the different matchups. Mon-Red matchup. Is it gonna be good? Probably not, unless you have a good combo against Mon-Red, unless you have a lifelinker, unless you have something. It's not gonna be horrible against Mon-Red, definitely not. You can return it from the graveyard, it's difficult for them to deal with, you can combine it with lifelink, so it's gonna be decent that matchup. I think it's gonna be more problematic in maybe the blue-white matchup. Maybe if you play something like a Paradise Druid, of course you can get hexproof, you can play with Bartok Troll, also another way of getting hexproof on this. But if you play it with Bartok Troll, it's gonna be a 5/5 flying, have a counter, and that's not the worst, honestly. You have a 5/5 flyer, you can remove that counter, and then you can probably mutate with some other card so that it doesn't die. So hexproof is pretty good against blue-white control. So this might see play. It's not super janky, but it's not like amazing. Like essentially all you're getting are more stats. I think there are more interesting muted cards than this. Essentially you're getting a stat boost, and you're getting the ability to get some value with return on this. You're probably going to be mutating all the time. You're hopefully not going to be just playing this down, because you don't get the feather token if you just play the card, which means that it's not super good if you just play it. But let's give this one over.
This card has so much application. This card is amazing. First of all, for all you mono-white lovers out there, a Johnny's Pridemate, think about it. A Johnny Pridemate always getting jump blocked. Always. He has 10 counters, doesn't matter. Jump block, jump block, jump block. Put this down. Give him flying. And it gives a stat boost. He's no longer a 2/2. He's a 4/4 with all those counters. It's so easy to set up. You put down your creatures, which gives all your Johnny's Pridemate counters. You put down a Johnny's Pridemate. You grow with 1 turn. Maybe you have the thing which gives +1 HP whenever something attacks. Turn 3. Turn 4, you put this down. You attack it with Johnny's Pridemate and you kill them. You kill them. It's the best finisher. Of course, you're gonna need some red in your mono-white deck, but what can you do? What can you do, I say?
Okay, the creature with my favorite name of the set. Snapdax. Apex of the Hunt. Snappy Runers. Snappity Snapdax is here. This card is made for me, okay? Dinosaur Cat Nightmare. Mutate 2 colorless, 1 black or red, and then 2 white. It has double strike. Whenever this creature mutates, it deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Finally, or planeswalker. An opponent controls and you gain 4 life. This means that this card is not super horrible. I think it's actually decent. So, Another thing to note about this, it deals 4 damage, which means that if you mutated a lifelink creature, for instance, you're gonna get 8 life. 4 because of the damage, and 4 because of the ability, which gains 4 life. It's still just gonna be 4 damage, which is unfortunately usually not enough to kill most planeswalkers, as most planeswalkers have 5 loyalties, so it's just gonna hurt some planeswalker, usually. Sometimes gonna be able to kill them, I guess. I really see an application with lifelink with this, something like a Healer's Hawk. You could also have something like a Rotten Regisaur. I mean, 7, whatever his stats are. The thing is that the mutate cost is very, very expensive, but you can put it down earlier as a 3/5 double strike, and you can mutate this guy further, and I think that's how you want to play this guy. You want to put down Snapdax, Apex of the Hunt, and then you mutate him further into something else, so you can actually do something with him. His stats are decent for what it's worth. If you're up against Mono Red, 3/5 double strike is probably gonna be good, honestly, against Mono Red. You're gonna strike before they strike, which means that they're gonna have trouble burning this. It's a 5 toughness, which means their burn spells are not gonna burn him down unless they've really invested in some heavy burn spell. If they have Perforous Intervention or something, they might be able to kill this, but most things are not gonna be able to kill this, and it's gonna kill whatever attacks in, so they can't trade 2 for 1 for a Snapdax. So usually what they do is they attack in with something, maybe that thing even has first strike, and then they add a little bit of burn to just deal with whatever target they have. But if you have Snapdax, they can't do that. This guy can kill anything before they get to strike him, so he seems decently strong in the Mono-Red matchup. In the blue-white matchup is where I think he will struggle. If you just put him down, he dies to all the removal. He doesn't do much. He doesn't have trample, so he won't get past the Birth of Meletis wall that easily. Planeswalkers, I guess he could kill them. Like in the late game, if you have some kind of late game plan and you can mutate, it could be fine. But it's not super amazing in that matchup. So,
Gates!
as for me, let's...
Gates! How could you not mention Gates? This is amazing. Gates, think about it. Think about it. Easy to get the colors. We are Gates. Gates colors are easy. Gate Breaker Ram. Get +1/+1 for each gate you control. Imagine this on Snapdax. He has double strike. It's freaking double strike. You put down Gatebreaker Ram. Turn 3. Turn 5. You mutate the Gatebreaker Ram into Snapdax. Snapdax now has double strike. He's at 3/5. He also gets +1/+1 for each gate. He also deals 4 damage and kills the only creature they have. They die. They die. Other scenario, okay. Maybe you don't have Gatebreaker Ram, that's fine. You put down Snapdax. Put down Glaive of the Guild Pact on Snapdax. He gets +1/+0 for each gate you control and has Vigilance and Menace. And Menace.
Next up, another interesting companion here. Okay, Umori the Collector. 2 colorless, 1 black, green, black, green. Companion. Each non-land card in your starting deck shares a card type. They only need to share a card type. They don't need to be all of the same card type. So that's pretty interesting. There's a lot of wiggle room there, maybe. At least there's a lot of like enchantment creatures, stuff like that. So you can definitely do something with enchantments there, or creatures. As Umori, the Collector enters the battlefield, choose a card type. Spells you cast of the chosen type cost 1 less to cast. This is interesting. I can see this going 2 ways if you want to apply this. Either you go with enchantments and you make enchantments cheaper, which is gonna be good. I mean, you can play Birth of Meletis, Elspeth Conquers Death cheaper. That's pretty good. What else can you do with this? You can play this with adventure creatures. They share a card type. I mean, they're all gonna be creatures. So you can put in only creatures in that way, and maybe you can have some creature enchantments if you want to. And then you can choose the card type sorcery, for instance, or instant, and you can make them cost a little bit less. The problem there is probably going to be that you also want the artifact there, most probably, to work with that. But that's one way of doing things. Is he amazing? Okay, against Mono Red, decent stats. 4/5, can definitely get away with a 4/5 against Mono Red. You're always gonna have him, so it's very good to have a reliable card that can always play on your turn 4 against Mono Red, I guess. Blue-white control, it gets killed by all the removal, doesn't have an effect when it comes into play. It makes things cost 1 less, so that is interesting, and also it can be spark double, I guess, so you can make everything even cheaper, and if you choose creature, then the spark double is only gonna cost 3, and the next, you can make, I don't know, you can make things a little bit cheaper. I think this guy's gonna talk about that. Blue-white control, I don't think it's gonna be amazing against that, also. And against anything like Agent Treachery, Reanimator, Counterspell deck, they're just gonna counter him. I guess it's decent against Counterspell decks because you have one more card that you can just throw at them, so that they need one more Counterspell. So, but that's about it.
Yes! Do you think enchantments is janky? Everyone's gonna do enchantments. Everyone is gonna do creatures. Everyone. So many gonna do planeswalkers, but everyone is forgetting artifacts. Think about it. All artifacts cost 1 less. This is amazing. Amazing. Ultra amazing. You can play your Vantress Gargle. You can play your Glass Caskets for 1 manas. You can play your Bubbles for 1 manas. You can play the card which makes you able to play artifacts from the top of your library, and they all become 1 cheaper. Essentially all gonna cost 1 mana or 0 mana. Witch's Oven, 0 mana. Think about it. Think about it. Artifacts. Think about it.
And then the money mythic. I could talk about this guy in like 10 minutes straight, but I'm gonna try to keep it short. Bartok, Apex of Thunder. 1 blue, 1 red, 1 white. A little bit restrictive mana cost. Yes, a little bit difficult to get that off reliably. 3/3, flying first strike. But the thing is, you're probably not gonna use his mana cost. You're probably gonna use the mutate. So, what is the mutate? Whenever this creature mutates, you may cast target non-creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. Whenever anything in Magic says without paying its mana cost, it's always gonna be broken. It happens every time. Every time it happens. Okay. So we're gonna mutate something. We're gonna be able to get very much value. So let's say you have, I don't know, Paradise Druid. Maybe not a good example because it's the wrong colors, but let's say we have Paradise Druid. You play something that draws you cards, some instant or sorcery that draws you cards. Then you play Bartok, Apex of Thunder, and then you play that card again. Or you could have, for instance, something that doesn't have to be a creature. It could be a planeswalker. Let's say you play Teferi Time Raveler, this card which is very often played. You bounce on the creatures, they kill Teferi Time Raveler. You play Bartok, Apex of Thunder on your, I don't know, Paradise Druid again, or your Fubbalipathup or something. You return Teferi Time Raveler from your graveyard to the battlefield. I mean, you play it even, so that seems pretty strong. And you have a 3/3 flying first strike on top of all this. This is like, it's not as good as Snapcaster Mage, of course, but it's like a mini Snapcaster. Or a Mega Snapcaster, I guess, because I have better stats. A Mega Snapcaster Mage, that's what I call this. The Mega Snappy, the Bartok. I think even this guy will agree.
Of course, this is amazing. I mean, it goes without saying, this is amazing. This is a powerful card. It'll be broken. A little bit, should I say, not so janky even, but you can make it even jankier. Think about this. Turn 1, you go Arboreal Grazer. Turn 2, you go Neoform. You find your Fubbalipathup, you draw 2 cards. One of them is gonna be Bartok, Apex of Thunder, of course. You are now on your turn 3, but on turn 3 you of course have 4 manas. You Bartok, Apex of Thunder on your Fubbalipathup with the mutate ability. You then play the Neoform. You choose to put Bartok second under the Fubbalipathup so that he retains his mana cost. You Neoform the Bartok, Apex of Thunder into a Questing Beast. Next up, Vivian, Monsters Advocate. 3 colorless and 2 green. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may cast creature spells from the top of your library. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. +1, create a 3/3 green beast. This very much looks like Nissa. Is this Nissa? As a passive ability which is broken and creates 3/3s every turn. Okay. Create a green beast creature token. Put your choice of a vigilance counter, a reach counter, or a trample counter on it. Okay, that's interesting. Reach, trample, or vigilance.
I guess these are all green abilities. -2, whenever you cast your next creature spell this turn, search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost, lesser converted mana cost, put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So you get a 2 for 1 if you go for the minus, and of course this synergizes well with the you may play something from the top. So you play something from the top, and if you see that the card on the top is very high costing, you can minus, and then you can get that down. Is this card competitively good is the question. I think it's probably good enough to be played in some kind of competitive fashion. The thing is that it competes with Nissa in the 5 mana slot, and Nissa is gonna be better in most cases. So it's a little bit sad in that regard. But you can play both Nissa and Vivian.
Always play both.
You can play both of them, and you can have a lot of creatures on top that can do various things. And maybe you have creatures which kill their creatures. You have like like in a food deck or something, and maybe you can have enough creatures in that deck. You have a lot of like the fight food creature, and you have the goose, and you have everything, and all these food creatures find each other with the Vivian ability. That could definitely work. You could see it working. This is gonna be amazing against mono red. You put this down, you plus it, it creates a green beast. It's not the worst, but it's not gonna save you probably against them. The -2 you're not gonna be able to use on the same turn, so it's just you get a 3/3. So it's pretty much the same as Nissa when it comes down, but it has less loyalty, so it's probably gonna die. Nissa has 4 or 5 loyalty when it comes into play. This can actually die to Questing Beast, one of the few things, but the 3/3 green beast can block the Questing Beast, so I mean, it's not like Questing Beast is played all the time, but that's something to keep in mind. Against blue-white control, I think it's gonna be very good. I guess it dies to Elspeth Conqueror's death, but it can create a lot of value, and it will create a 3/3. If nothing else, you will at least have a 3/3 down if they play Elspeth Conqueror death on Vivian, and maybe you can put on more pressure and maybe kill them at some point. Of course, maybe you can do that with that 3/3, so I'm trying to get that. But yeah, that's about what I have to say about this card.
The minus ability is the thing that makes and breaks this card. Think about it. When you cast your next creature spell this turn, search your library for a creature card with a command mana cost less than that card and put it onto the battlefield and shuffle your library. This, everyone's gonna point out, oh, you just play Agent of Treachery and you search for the thoughts. Oh, that's so easy, so boring. Boring, I say. Here's what you're gonna do. You are gonna search. You're gonna play your Nightmare Shepherd. You're gonna search for Playcrafter. You're gonna sacrifice Playcrafter to Playcrafter. You're gonna return the Playcrafter. Get it back again. It's amazing. You basically clear the entire board. If you go up against blue-white control, you clear their hand. They have nothing at this point. Easy combo. 2 cards. Essentially, 1 card. Kind of like a 1-card combo in a way. Playcrafter also works with a 3/3 beast. It's amazing. Amazing, I say.
Next card, a very simple card. It's an alternate art version. It's not named Godzilla King of Monsters. It's named Silortha, Strength Incarnate. But there's an alternate art version which has Godzilla on it because, I don't know, for the lulz it has it. Okay. Legendary creature Dinosaur, Trample. Lethal damage dealt to creatures you control is determined by their power rather than their toughness. So you use power instead of toughness on your creature. We've had the thing where we had toughness instead of power. This gives power instead of tough. Yeah, you just reverse it. So it's essentially it's a 7/7. You can think of it that way. It's a 7/7 for 5 with trample. That's usually not that good though, to be fair. Against mono red, it's a blocker, I guess, but it doesn't do anything. They can probably never kill it, so that's good. Against blue-white, it's not gonna do anything. Either gets exiled or killed. I guess that's trample. That's the most relevant ability. Blue-white control. Oh, I already talked about blue-white control. Agent Treachery kind of deck or counter decks. Not gonna have a problem with this. So yeah, it's a Timmy card. That's what I say. What do you say?
It's a Timmy card. I don't even want to talk about it. There's nothing fun going for it. Let's just go to the next card, shall we?
Okay, next card, another Japanese card. This is Violante. Costs 2 colorless, 1 white, 1 black, 1 green. And then it has mutate for 4, and then green or white, and then 2 black. So 7 in total to mutate this guy. Quite expensive, I would say. Quite expensive. So,
not that expensive.
Whenever this creature mutates, return any number of creature cards with total power 10 or less from a graveyard to battlefield. It also has Death Touch lifelink. 5/5. This is a janky card, I feel like. You can play it for 5 and you have a Death Touch lifelink. 5/5. I guess mono red, that might be good enough. I mean, it's a big dude which you're gonna have trouble killing, and it has lifelink. So you're gonna gain 5 life when they attack into that. Might be good enough. Blue-white matchup, if you just play it as a creature, it's essentially useless. If you mutate something though, and return a lot of things, I don't know what you could return. I mean, the restriction doesn't matter too much. With total power 10 or less, most really good cards don't have that much power on them anyways. So you're gonna be able to return multiple things from the graveyard. The problem is gonna be, you need to set this up. You need to put all these cards into your graveyard to be able to return them with this guy. And that's gonna be quite tricky, I think. But, yeah, what do you think?
This card! Biolante! God's gift to magic, God's gift to magic, I say. Everyone gonna be, oh, I'm gonna return 5 Ancient Treacheries from my graveyard. I don't even know how to do that. That's amazing. Spark double for free. Agent of Treachery getting in there. What's gonna happen, I say? Here's how we're gonna do it. Self-mill. Think about it. Wall of Lost Thought. 0 power. 0 power. All these creatures, they mill ourselves, they mill us, we get more 0 power cards in our graveyard. We play Biolante and we mill ourselves completely. We win with Jace. So easy, so goddamn easy. Self-mill, this is the crowning jewel for the self-mill, like this is all we needed. Next card is not the bro code, it's the brocos. The Apex of Forever. Legendary creature, Nightmare Beast Elemental. Mutate, 2 colors, blue, black, and double green. Trample, you may cast Brocos. Is Brocos gonna be broken? We'll see. Apex of Forever from your graveyard using its mutate ability. And this card doesn't have much going for it, honestly. I think it's a little bit of a timid trap, but it has some uses, like for instance, you can get trample and big stats on any creature, which could be useful. I don't know exactly what would need that. Double strikers, maybe. Ajon is probably something which gains a lot of counters. Could maybe want trample and big stats. But except for that, I think it's a little bit of a Timmy trap. I mean, I was gonna say, I think it's a little bit Timmy. But what do you think? You're a Timmy trap! This is not a Timmy trap! Okay. 2 words. Tombbound Lich. Think about it. Tombbound Lich, you discard this guy. You can play it from your graveyard. You return Brocos. Of course, you target your own Tombbound Lich. He has Death Touch and Lifelink. You get Death Touch, Lifelink, Trample, 6/6 when it attacks in and deals damage. You can discard more cards. It's amazing with Escape. Think about it.
Next card, Euroda, Doom of Depths. 4 colorless, blue and black, and another blue and black. Legendary creature, Demon Kraken. Release the Kraken. Your starting deck contains only cards with even converted mana cost. Ooh. Okay, so you can't play 1-drop, can't play 3-drops, can't play 5-drops. Those are probably the most relevant mana costs that you can't play. When Euroda enters the battlefield, each player puts the top 4 cards of their library into the graveyard. Put a creature card with even converted mana cost from among those cards on the battlefield under your control. So you can take your opponent's things, but only if they have even converted mana costs, interestingly enough. Otherwise, they didn't have to state even twice, I think, because your deck can't contain uneven mana costs, so... Okay, so this guy's gonna hurt you a lot. You can't play 1-drops, you can't play 3-drops, but if you can get around that, I mean, it's a 6/6 which also reanimates something. But then again, the best things to reanimate are, you know, Agent of Treachery, Dracoseth, stuff like that. Everything has uneven mana cost, so there's not many good targets for this to reanimate, but I wouldn't count this guy out, honestly. He's decent stats. Think about this, against mono red. Let's say this guy returns, I don't know, a big lifelinker or something. Again, it's the mono red, and he has a 6/6, so it's a big swing when this guy comes in. I mean, even if he just takes one of the dudes from the mono red deck, it's good. I mean, it's a 6/6 and you get something else. If you can even set this up in a good way, then it's pretty good. And you can also, it's a reanimator card which you can count on always having. Like, you could play this as your only reanimator card, and then have maybe cards which returns from the graveyard when eventually Garuda dies or something which bounces it to your hand or something. And then just have mill cards or something, or things that put things in the graveyard and then count on getting this at some point. So pretty cool in that regard. What do you think?
I think that this is amazing. I mean, it goes without saying. Probably my favorite card. Probably my favorite card in IKORIA, Garuda. Oh, a reanimator on a creature. We can bounce this. We can flick this. We can toss a Charming Prince this. Oh, imagine. Your Charming Princess, they die, they're in the graveyard. You return them with Garuda, well, they bounce, they flicker your Garuda, you get more Charming Princess. You return Thassa, you get more things from the graveyard. You return everything from the graveyard, every single card. Every single card, you just need blink. Maybe a little bit of self-mill here and there. Oh, this is amazing. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10, I say.
Next card, Illuna. Apex of Wishes. 2 colors, 1 green, 1 blue, 1 red. It's a legendary creature, beast, elemental, dinosaur. It has mutate 3 colors, green or red, and 2 blue. Flying, trample, 6/6. Decent stats. Wouldn't say those are bad stats. Whenever this creature mutates, exile a card from the top of your library. Until you exile a non-land permanent card, put that card onto the battlefield or into your hand. Trap, I don't know for sure, but there's a couple of things that worry me a lot. First of all, you exile cards, so you don't get them in your graveyard, you don't get them on the bottom of your library, they're exiled, so you're kind of screwing yourself over in one way there. Next thing is, how are you gonna mutate this guy so that you can reliably hit the target? Like, usually when you have something which doesn't affect until it hits a certain card, you set it up so that it always hits a certain card. But if you do this for this guy, you can't play other permanent cards. You can only have 1 Illuna, and you can have no other permanent cards but the card you're searching for. Then you need to have like token creatures which you mutate. I guess it's possible, but possible to have like 4 Agent Treacheries, 1 Illuna, token creatures, and you mutate them. I guess like you could have instant and sorceries. I don't know. I don't know what you think about this one.
This card is amazing. Exiling is an upside, not a downside. Here's what you're gonna do. You Callous Dismissal. It's not a permanent card. Then, turn 6, you mutate your Callous Dismissal. What's gonna hit? Well, you're gonna hit a Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, of course. Of course. Oh, those exile cards, they helped you. They helped you all along. You're exiling your own deck, you play another Illuna. Whoop. You have no deck, you win the game. Jace, Wielder of Mystery, think about it, it's genius. It's genius.
Last card then, Karuga. There's going to be more spoiler videos, of course, on this channel coming up whenever there's more spoilers, but this is gonna be the last one. Karuga the Macro Sage. 3 colorless, then green or blue, then green or blue. He's a legendary creature, dinosaur hippo. Companion, your starting deck contains only cards with converted marker 3 or greater and land cards. Of course you can get around this because it checks the converted mana cost of the card, not on the sub cards or whatever they call in like adventures. You can get around this. So and the split cards, of course, can get around this. So you don't have to wait until turn 3 until you play your first card. You can actually play things earlier. When Karuga the Macro Sage enters the battlefield, draw a card for each other permanent you control with converted mana cost 3 or greater. Ooh, the upside no is not that big. The thing is, you don't have to play this guy, and you're gonna just have him when you need him. Because I mean, you're always gonna have him, so it's a very good upside to have a companion. You're probably not always gonna want to have a companion, but many decks are gonna want to have a companion, I guess, if they can get away with it. But at the same time, draw a card for each. How many permanents are you gonna have down with converted marker 3 or greater? Maybe 2. Maybe 2, but it's decent though. You get a 5/4, you draw 2 cards. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's not horrible. I would say that much. If you're up against mono red, will this be bad? Will it be good? I guess it will be pretty good against mono red. If you have a couple of permanents that have survived at this point. I don't know, Teferi Time Raveler comes to mind as a good permanent for 3. Maybe a Norset, I don't know, correct colors at least. And then you play Karuga, and that could be pretty good. It's gonna be difficult to get all those permanents to survive against Mono Red, but it could definitely work. Blue-white control, definitely good against blue-white control to draw a lot of cards. They do have Norset though, so they're gonna block that card draw in some cases. You need to have ways of dealing with their Norset, but if you do, and you don't need to play it immediately, and it can't be discarded also, which is very good against if you're up against something very controlly. So definitely a decent card. Probably the least restrictive companion thing with Command Monsters 3 or greater because it's so easy to get around. But yeah, what do you think?
I think you missed the point here. Enchantments. Enchantments that exile their things. There's so many of them. You can stack 1,000,000 of those buggers. And then you're gonna draw so many cards. You're never gonna kill those things. You're gonna draw so many cards. Enchantments. Blue-white enchantments. I'm calling it now. I'm calling it now. Thank you for watching, everyone. We'll be back with more spoilers pretty soon.
Member shout out. Member shout out. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and a special thank you of course to our dear members arriving from the underworld. Oh, here they are! Adam Alexa, Simon Lauer, Rodney Cox, Herman Monster, The Soft Pillow, Shamanix, Alex Michael, Nathaniel Lizard, Lasers Not the Stun, Eric 0234, Jeff Henry, leaning into it, Michael W, Matthias Poorly, Topless Investment, W Lutz 1978, Peter Gold, Sean Stevens, Gabriel Juvenal, QD Lady 23, Way, Messamok, Ye Old Basses, Dingo Scrub, Crew the Barbarian, Rainbird 2002, July Moonlight Star, Draker 2000, Jurassic Fart, Eric Parson, Rage Not, Badass Imanab, John Domyan, Gesusaki, Own77, Sam Williamson, Ellie Curtis, Noah BH, MC Hermes, Fumiaki Kinoshita, JCap, Viral Thing, Steve Draminsky, Strange Bronte, Skysurfer Zero, Tim Dutton, Jake Danley, Santa John, The McDuncan, Relgan, Chase Closed, John Lacava, III, Honsa Kos, Agony Reborn, Ramen Noodles for Me, Nethervex, Andrew Blank, Mr. Thule, Musketeer, Mythic Gaming, Link is Weak, Tom Cute, Michael Robert Lewis, Yomasaho, No Name the Epithet, Their Lurgorth, Dimlit Knight, Stricker Mike, Postal Guru, Anthony Divell, Mentosaurus, Michael Cupido, Chuan To Ying, Vincent Baudet, Paul Robert Miller, Anthony Nixon, Ninja Astral, Coop the Grace, Optimus Prime, Shuckles M, Virus Dengus, Don McSharp, 2 Cents, Pocky U, Across Ascending, Kitty Bum Lover, Silly Boy, Magic Pistol Man, Seppi 1310, Martin Newman, Cajun Leuchtgelb, John LaRoche, That's Mr. God You, Eventum Tatum, Matthew, Gogan, Steve BK, Drummer, Freeman Stepson, Adam Alexis, Dan Goodsell, Aaron Noble, Drew Styles, Potte, Serge Carmoro, Brenton Dobbs, Batsuma, Rainbow Cake, Piotr Stalorsk, Super Noodle 7, Dr. Jadron, Infinite Draw, Neo Terror Ninja Longnome, Javier Diaz, Jack Wren, Adam Ruth, Rhett Khan, Barbara McKinley, Liquid E, Big Bob MTG, Butt with Ass, Patrick Hennig, Ruffino A, Oregon, 7 Guy, 777, Forsaken AA, Trumman, Thomas Schutte, Nesmoth, Thanatos, Right in the G-Hole, Foxy Grandpa, Fereshkan, the G-Man, and Martin Newman. You guys are amazing! If you also want to become a Dark Disciple and help rule the underworld, then check out the join button next to the subscribe button, and why not check out my Patreon, link in the description. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.
Also a special thank you to our band shoulders on Patreon. Thank you!